محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today we will be continuing where we left off, and now we are on verse 160 of Surah al-ʿAʿrāf, 168 of Surah al-ʿAʿrāf. So, I'm sorry, 160 and 168 start with the same word. Okay, so we're doing 168, bi'idhnillah. So I'll read the Arabic and then we will talk about the tafseer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقطعناهم في الأرض أمما منهم الصالحون ومنهم دون ذلك وبلوناهم بالحسنات والسيئات لعلهم يرجعون. Okay, and so in this ayah and in the previous verses we discussed the Bani Israel and specifically them breaking the Sabbath, how they were fishing when they should not have been doing so, and Allah ended that story with this verse where He's announcing that He is going until the end of the Day of Judgment be sending upon these people as-su al-'adhab, a wretched punishment. And inna rabbaka lasari'ul 'iqab, indeed your Lord is swift in retribution, and He is also the Ghafurur Rahim. And so this next part, it starts a new sort of thought with that. وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُمَمًا, and we divided them up in the earth into different communities. And this idea of how you have a sort of cluster or a group or a community initially, and then that community spreads in the earth. This is not all too different than communities operate in general, and specifically our own community, the Muslim Ummah, how our nucleus, how our initial community was once in Medina or in Mecca and Medina, and then from there the Muslim empire grew. Our ummah was made into different sub-ummahs or sub-communities in different areas of the world. And what does Allah say about these different areas or different places of the world where the ummah resides? مِنْهُمُ الصَّالِحُونَ وَمِنْهُمْ دُونَ ذَلِكَ, that some of them are righteous and others are less so. One thing to note about this is that what Allah is referring to in this is not the communities themselves, that He's not saying that some communities are righteous and other communities are not. He's saying that the people who reside throughout, some of those may be good and others will be not as good. And this reinforces this notion and sort of quashes this preconception that we have, that we think that certain areas where Islam is practiced, or certain regions or certain nations, that those places, just by virtue of being in this land or this area, they are practicing Islam correctly. But what this verse makes evident is that throughout the world, there will be some people who are salihun, those who are righteous, and those who are not. And so it's not necessarily where you are or which language you speak or how close you live to this holy sacred sites of Mecca, Medina, or elsewhere in the world, but really what matters is if you are salih and if you are not. And how does Allah describe those people of righteousness? Just in the few verses before this, it's those people who followed the law. It's those people who did not break the Sabbath. It's those people or that group of people who told people when they were doing wrong that they told them you shouldn't be doing this. Why? مَعْذِرَةً إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ. Why? So that they could say this to their Lord as an excuse. That, oh, I stopped this evil, or I corrected this wrong, so that I am blameless in front of my Lord, meaning that I've done my job in terms of amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. And so, minhum as-salihun wa minhum duna dhalik. Some of those people are righteous and others are less so. And then the next part of the verse, وَبَلَوْنَاهُمْ بِالْحَسَنَاتِ وَالسَّيِّئَاتِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. And we tested them with good things and with bad things so that they may return. This is also another interesting phrase, and it, I think, maybe brings up a misgiving or an ill-conceived notion that we have about this concept of bala or ibtila. Oftentimes, even the Quran uses bala in a negative way, but we think of the word bala as a calamity or as something that is like a difficulty or a trial. And Allah even uses it when He's describing Bani Israel, وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ, in that there was a great trial or a great difficulty from your Lord. But what this is saying is بَلَوْنَاهُمْ بِالْحَسَنَاتِ, that we test, that through good things we gave them a trial, we gave them their bala. And so what's interesting to note is that the good things in your life, that they're not necessarily just rewards for you to enjoy and to be happily and contently living with them, but rather they are also a bala. And bala, in its most literal meaning, it means a test. It means like a pass-fail test, like that type of test. So when you're given a good thing, you are being tested in that moment. We're being tested that, are we going to use this for good? Are we going to be wasteful? Are we not going to show shukr? That this is actually at the crux of what a bala is. That in times of ease, in times of good things that we're receiving, and also in times of bad, that when we're being tested in very difficult ways by a loss of our job or drought or health or people in our family, they're losing their lives or something, some trial that everyone is going through. That those are also moments where Allah's testing you to see what you do. That Sulaiman alayhi salam, that after he, in the story of him and the Queen of Sheba, he asked his jinn to bring her throne. And then one of them said that, I can bring it to you in like the blink of an eye, in that short time. And what does Sulaiman say? That he says that this is something that قال هذا من فضل ربي ليبلوني أأشكر أم أكفر, that this is a gift or a favor from my Lord, ليبلوني, to test me whether I show shukr or whether I show ingratitude, whether I'm grateful or whether I'm not grateful. That Sulaiman, at the peak of his reign, when he has everything, he's a prophet, he understands that, and he's been living in this sort of total dominion, this great empire. Sulaiman was given so much in this world in terms of power and authority. And so even in those moments when literal jinn are doing works for him, that he's saying that each and every of these sorts of miracles and these good things that are happening, they're ultimately tests for me, whether that I show gratitude or I don't. And so this is how Allah tests people, not just with difficulties or trials or tribulations, but also through the good things. And Allah does this, why? because as this verse ends, it answers that question, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, so that these people will return to me, that they basically will know where the source of their hasanat, of the good that is coming to them, and also their sayyi'at, so that they can turn to me for help. And so we can stop here for today. The next verse is quite lengthy, but just to recap, that whenever we're met with good in this world, whenever we're also met with difficulty in this world, these are opportunities for us to turn back to Allah. That is ultimately the purpose of anything that happens in our lives, that we thank Allah for the good that we receive, and that we pray to Allah to alleviate any of the difficulties that head our way. And we ask Allah for success in our endeavor and in our adventures in this world. Ameen. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين.